Hey everyone, it's Donna from Donna's Corn-Free Cooking, sharing another recipe that is corn-free with you today. What I'm sharing today is how I make my corn-free relish. When you go into the store and you read the labels on relish, every one of them have got corn syrup, either high fructose or just regular corn syrup in it. And for us that are allergic, that can be very, very dangerous. So I just don't buy them. So I had a friend when I lived in Washington. She had a recipe that she shared with me that is actually called zucchini relish, which is wonderful. It's such a wonderful way to use up those extra zucchinis you have in the summer. But you can use it for cucumbers or zucchini, whichever one you prefer. Today I'm doing half a recipe because I just need a small amount. And as you can see in this bowl, I have all my veggies chopped up. And I'm using today cucumbers, bell peppers, red, or not red, but orange and yellow, and onion. And I like to chop them up pretty fine. You could do it in a food processor, but it just almost turns them to mush. So I prefer to chop them by hand. You put them in a bowl, and I'm doing half a recipe, so instead of 2 tablespoons of sea salt, I used 1 tablespoon of sea salt and covered it with plastic and refrigerated it overnight. Once you've done that, then you drain it in a colander. And I usually put it back in the bowl and then get my spices and sugars and vinegar prepared. So in this pot I have 1 cup of pure cane sugar and 1 cup of pure cane brown sugar. And that's half the recipe. Normally for a full recipe you would use 2 cups of the pure cane sugar and 2 cups of the brown sugar. So I've got my spices ready, and I love these little measuring cups. They look like a shot glass, but they actually have teaspoons, ounces, and tablespoons on it, and it's hard to find a half a tablespoon spoon in the stores. So with this, I've got a half a tablespoon of celery seed, a half a tablespoon of turmeric, and a half a tablespoon of mustard seed. In the full recipe you would use 1 tablespoon of each. And I add that to my sugars, and I use a wire whip just to kind of mix it around. That way you don't have seeds stuck in a clump somewhere when you add the vinegar. And once that's all mixed in pretty good, then I'm adding a cup and a quarter of apple cider vinegar, and you don't want to use anything but apple cider vinegar. White vinegar is corn, so I make sure that everything I do, if it even calls for white vinegar, I use the apple cider. And I check on the distilled to make sure that it is nothing but the apple cider vinegar and water. So I'm going to add that to the mix, and in the full recipe it's 2.5 cups of that. So I'm going to mix that around to kind of dissolve it a little bit. I'll push those out of my way so I don't knock them over. Okay, and as you can see, I got my spices and sugars pretty well mixed up there. So then I'm going to add my vegetables. I'm going to lay that there and get those in there. And as I said, I'm only doing a half a recipe. Normally this bowl is almost overflowing with vegetables when I do the full one. When you do the full recipe, you can basically get 8 to 10 pints of relish, and you can either can it or you can freeze it. And I've done both. And when you freeze it, when you thaw it out, it thaws very quickly, and it actually tastes as good as the day you made it. So does the can, but you process it in the jars after it's been cooked. So you can try either way, whatever's convenient for you. and you've got enough relish to last you 6 months to a year by the time you're done. So I'm going to put this on the stove to cook for 30 minutes, and then I'll come back and I'll show you with the result. Okay everyone, I'm back and we have the cucumber relish done. So what I'm going to do, this is how I usually freeze it. I take one of my plastic containers here that is pretty thick and freezes well. It's specifically for the freezer. And I start putting my relish in. And I don't know if you can see that, but look how beautiful. And I always put a little extra of the brine in it, so because I like to add that to my potato salad. So it's always good to have that little extra in there. So then I've got a second one, and we'll see what I get out of this one. As I said, I made small batches for 2 specific things, and then when I need it again, I'll just make up a big batch so then I don't have to do it for a while. Okay, so there you have it. I have 3 little containers of my cucumber relish, and as you can see, it came out beautifully. So I will put the lids, leave it to sit to cool just a little bit, then I will put the lids on it, and then I will put one in the refrigerator and put the others in the freezer and take them out as I need it. And so I will, as I said before, I will have the recipe in the description. I hope you try it and let me know in the comments how it works out. And as I said before, when you've got a corn allergy, you've got to do everything you can to take care of yourself, to keep from getting a hold of anything that might have corn in it. So this is another way that you can do it, and you can do it ahead of time, for months ahead of time, and not make any, or make up enough for a year. And you never have to worry about it, and it's one expense you don't have to buy, because the reality is making it yourself, canning or freezing it, is a lot cheaper than to go out and spend $2, $3, $4 on a jar that could potentially kill you because of eating it. So I hope, as I said before, I hope you try this, and then I will see you next time. Bye.